Welcome. Hello, and welcome to World of Matchups, National Football League television preview show. We are coming to you all live and direct from the wonderful, sunny Grabet Television Studios in Las Vegas. We are starting a brand new segment here at World of Matchups. Today, I am honored to be sitting next to 8-year NFL professional cornerback, Mr. Mighty Mouse, Mark McMillian. Let's have a round of applause and welcome Mark to the show. It's nice having you, man. Thank you so much for coming here. It's an absolute honor to be in your presence as a Chief fan. So, first things first, 5'7", 145. Okay, when we're thinking about D-backs in the National Football League, that's not what we're thinking about.
Right.
Okay, you are coming out of Alabama, 2 years in, all of a sudden, here comes a draft, 8th round, 9th round. You're like, well, I know I'm better than these guys.
Right.
You know, 10th round, pick 272, you get drafted. Do you feel getting drafted so late helped you get motivated to get to the point where you were in being drafted in the National Football League and by the Philadelphia Eagles?
Me personally, I felt that it was a slap in my face. You know, I felt I did enough work at the University of Alabama. I started for 2 years, played in one of the toughest conferences in America, and, you know, faced some really good athletes in the Southeastern Conference from Florida to Georgia to Auburn, and, you know, to see a lot of those guys that I played against or played with, you know, get drafted before me, was just another stepping stone for me, man. Like I said, a lot of people don't know the story. I only played 1 year of high school football my senior year, and then went on to junior college, where I was a junior college All-American my sophomore year. So I was still learning the game. You know, everything was still new to me. So by the time I went to Philly, you know, I've only played 4 or 5 years of organized tackle football.
And you showed up to Philadelphia with all your bags. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about confidence personified. You were not a shoo-in to make the team at all.
Right.
If anything, with your size and athleticism, you were probably not going to make the team, but you were so confident that you said, I'm bringing everything I have because I'm making the team.
Yeah, and, you know, a lot of people, you know, kind of laughed at me when I brought all my suitcases in the locker room. And, you know, I always tell the story about Reggie White. You know, God rest his soul, was a great teammate. Great mentor for me, helped me out navigate through my rookie year. And,
great.
You know, the first time I walk in the locker room, you know, Reggie's like 6'5", 330, all muscle. And he's like, whose little kid is this in our locker room? You know, so, you know, all the guys thought it was funny. You know, the whole locker room just bust up laughing. And but me personally, I didn't think it was funny. You know, it was just like, okay, you know, just something else I just got to something else I got to overcome. And I said some things to a pastor that, you know, I can't say on the show, but you know, a lot of people, you know, looked at me like I was crazy, like, who is this little guy talking to Reggie White like that? But I had to, you know, get my respect somehow and let those guys know I'm just not here just to be a number, just to be a camp body. I'm here to make the team and, you know, help contribute as much as I can.
Yeah, man, and it's just, it kind of reminds me of the movie Invincible, where, you know, Vincent Papale, the Philadelphia Eagle who comes in undrafted. It kind of, there's a little part of his story that is your story, you know, and so now it's cut day.
Right.
You know, and no one wants to be looking at anybody in the face during cut day,
right.
You know, and you're walking through the locker room and you see the other guys' stuff gone. At that moment, how are you feeling?
That was probably one of the most nervous days of my life, you know, knowing that the final cut day was down. I knew I did really good in preseason. I put a lot of good film out there. So I said, if I'm going to get cut, then at least somebody else is going to pick me up.
Yeah.
And, you know, Eric Allen was the other cornerback who's a all-pro many times over. Is going to be a future Hall of Famer. And he was holding out. So when he came in, that means somebody else had to go. And it was between me and a safety. We actually shared the same locker room.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think he was like a third-round pick 2 years ago.
Second-round pick.
Oh, second round. Yeah, second round. I don't want to say his name. I won't put my guy on blast.
That's why I didn't mention his name. That's why I did not mention his name on purpose.
Yeah, but, you know, he was nice through the process. Yeah, he was nice through the process. And, you know, you walk through the locker room on that day, and they said, you know, if your stuff is gone, you know, your ticket is upstairs waiting for you. And, you know, for me, I was like, man, I just knew I put enough stuff out there to make the ball club. And when I went back in, his stuff was gone and my stuff was still there. And, you know, I was still like, you know, are they playing around? Are they joking? And, you know, he actually came up to me and said, man, congratulations. You know, you're a good player. He ended up landing back on his feet 2 days later in New York. You know, he played some more years in the league. But, you know, that was a life lesson for me to be like, always go for it. A lot of people were scared and nervous. I was a guy in one-on-ones, was always in first in line, trying to challenge guys, trying to get better. I wasn't going to just go back and be like, I didn't give it my all. I wanted to know if I didn't give it 100%, that was on me.
Yeah.
So they gave me an opportunity to showcase my talents, and
balled out,
and things worked out for the best for me.
Yeah, they really, really did. So fast forward now, you're rubbing shoulders with Seth Joyner, you're rubbing shoulders with Pastor Reggie. You're out there, you're a professional football player now, and you are going up against the likes of guys like Terrell Owens. You know what I mean? Terrell Owens is like 6'3", 225, and you are all muscle, rock chiseled. Coming for you, and you were 5'7", 155 around this time. What's that like lining up against that kind of a freight train with the confidence that you had? Did you always say, bring your best because I'm bringing mine?
Well, in practice, I went against Fred Barnett, who was an all-pro.
Barnett was all-pro.
Calvin Williams was really good. We had some really good receivers. You're going against Randall Cunningham every day in practice. Jim McMahon was the backup quarterback, so I always got really good work from quarterbacks. And, I think it was like week 5 or 6, I was just a special teams player. And guys, I was number 7 on the depth chart. And, guys just kept falling down, and I just kept rising up the depth chart. And my first time I get an opportunity, we play the San Francisco 49ers. We go to Candlestick. I'm excited. My whole family's in the stands. They're waving the bath towels that they took from the hotel room. And I'm like, we can't be stealing bath towels. So
started from the bottom.
Yeah. So, Jerry Rice and John Taylor, Steve Young, they were rolling. And, me and myself, I was like, put me in. I wasn't afraid. I was like, I want to play. So I got an opportunity to go in the game against Jerry Rice. And, first thing he said, he's walking by me, he's like, oh, you the little rookie everybody's been talking about. He's like, oh, this is going to be like taking candy from a baby. Of course, I said some words I can't say on the show.
Of course.
But, the game ended up, we ended up losing, I think, by 3 or 4 points. And my rookie year, I ended up starting for the rest of my career in Philadelphia.
Man, and then you just took off after that. 4 years playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. Folks, if you don't know, Philadelphia is one of the toughest places to play. When they love you, they love you. But when they will get down on you if you are not doing what you need to do. Fast forward, after your 4th year, you are in Kansas City playing Marty ball with Marty Schottenheimer, Dale Carter, James Hasty. I mean, one of the greatest back ends in Kansas City Chiefs history. And in 1997, you had, in my mind, what was one of the best years that a defensive back could have. Let's talk about specifically 1997.
Time to get him out. Jeff Brom, it was Brom's lullaby when he was in. Mark McMillian and White, 12 yards, touchdown.
You led the league in interceptions. You led the league in return yards. And you had some fantastic plays that I, as a Kansas City Chief fan, personally remember. I'm not a fair-weather new Mahomes fan, folks. I was around when Mark McMillian was jumping into the end zone, all right? Let's talk about 1997.
It was a great experience for me, coming from New Orleans. Things didn't work out there, and I took a trip to Kansas City. Andre Rison had just won the Super Bowl with the Packers. He was on the trip. Marcus Allen came and met us. Derek Thomas, they all took us out to eat, just, like a little, you're getting courted around, like, hey, come here. I was scheduled to go to the Rams on that Saturday. Bud Carson was my defensive coordinator in Philly, who drafted me, wanted me to go to, play for the St. Louis Rams. So, Marty and all those guys knew that. Mr. Hunt knew that. But, in the meeting, they was like, we're not letting you get out of here. And I was like, well, you got Dale, you got James. I said,
they're good players.
Yeah, I've been starting for 5 years, though. How are we going to work this out?
Fit?
So they said, well, we're going to pay you like a starter, and you're going to play like a starter. And, they kind of molded the defense around our defensive backfield and allowed me, James, and Dale to be on the field probably like 90%.
Time.
Yeah, 90% of the time. And, 97 was just like, it was like a dream, man. It was like
everything went right.
Everything except we didn't
win.
We didn't beat Denver in the playoffs, but
Terrell Davis is hard to stop, man.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah. And Andre Rison had a really good season that year. He went on to be a Pro Bowler. Tony Gonzalez, he was a rookie, still learning the ropes, and all our lockers was standing next to each other. So, when Dale made a play, I was excited for that guy, or James. It was a really good unit, and obviously, when you got Derek Thomas, coming out to the quarterback, it made our job a lot
Balls
easier.
were just in the air.
Yeah. So it was a great year. Like I said, looking back on what I was able to accomplish, all praises to Marty, for putting me in position
Rest in peace.
To make those plays and trusting in a guy that, the Saints gave up on, and he saw something in me that he saw in Philadelphia, and that worked well with our defense. And, like I said, a lot of Philadelphia people say, I have really good years in there, and I did. But 97, I don't think anybody can shun away from that. And, I was just put in the right place at the right time and, had some really good teammates around me.
It was a great year. You pick balls off that no man your size should pick off, and you return on.
Throw Collins, turns left, throws it for the end zone, and it's broken, intercepted by Mighty Mouse. Chiefs are going to win this football game. They've been picking on Mark McMillian all day, and Mighty Mouse comes up big with an interception in the end zone.
Speechless. It was really a great year. So, Mighty Mouse. There's a couple Mighty Mouses in the league.
It's only one real one.
But there's only one. Folks, let me explain this to you. There's only one real Mighty Mouse, and it is this man right here, okay? You can't be 5'7" playing cornerback. Tell me about a 5'7" cornerback that's playing in this league right now. There isn't any. You are tragedy turned triumph personified in the aspect of your size. And guys feared you, whether they want to admit it or not. So your career is ending. We got 8 years in, and we're starting to recognize this might be time to do something else. You're bouncing around the league. You're playing for a couple different teams. What's going through your mind at this point now? What's next for Mark McMillian and the family?
That was a tough question, and a tough question that you asked, and a lot of people, battle that. It's like, what do I do now? I've been doing this all my life. Obviously, I battled depression. I made that very public a couple years ago about things I was going through, and with my family and with my son, and started drinking a lot, and it was tough for me. From being at a certain place at a certain time for all those years, and all of a sudden you don't have a job. And a lot of people just say, well, you guys made a ton of money. But from an athlete standpoint, I didn't ever play the game for money. I played the game because I loved the game. I was drug tested probably more than anybody for the way I played the game, and I was always excited, always flexing, always running around,
always flexing,
and I just loved the game. I loved the crowd. I love seeing that little kid that parent brought to the game, and that dad paid his hard-earned money, or his mom paid hard-earned money, to see a kid wear number 29. Out of all guys on the team, seeing a kid want to come see me play, and when that's all over and the crowd stop cheering, it's a tough process to get through. And I've had jobs, working with kids for a long time. Even in Philadelphia, I used to go at the Ronald McDonald House. I used to always go back and give toys to the kids in the hospital. So I've always been surrounded by kids, and just knowing I was one of those kids that wanted a chance, and I was given a chance. So it's up to me, and with my God-given talent and platform that I have, to be able to use it and help somebody else. Just bring a smile to a kid's face that may be battling cancer, that may not leave the hospital, or working in a group home with kids that the system has just engulfed, and just it's a repeat cycle for those kids going in and out of detention. Worked there for 4 years, and worked in the group home as well. I worked in mental hospitals as well with mentally ill patients. So I've worked in a whole variety of places outside of football.
Just giving back.
And that's what it's all about. And like I said, my time as a football player is done. So how can I use my platform for what I did to help somebody else out?
Yeah, and that's a perfect segue into Camp 29. Let's talk about Camp 29 a little bit and what you're doing here in Las Vegas with Camp 29.
It's a program that I started off with my son, who's now 21 years old, Isaiah. Just going out to the park and taking them through drills, and kids just start coming out and wanted to be a part of Camp 29, where I go out and train with those kids. I take them on recruiting trips. I reach out to college coaches, help those guys out with recruiting as well, and it just kind of really just ballooned up in Arizona. And some of the kids that went through my program, I'm really proud to say he's actually an Olympian now, Devin Allen, who just completed in the second Olympics. And he was at Oregon. He was a football star there, but he chose to go a different route. There's a lot of kids now in the National Football League that had an opportunity to train. One of my guys I've always talked about is Trey Bug, who now plays for Air Force. He's a senior there who's probably going to get drafted as well. So there's a lot of good kids that came through the program, and just seeing those kids on TV, I get so excited. I text those guys and they respond back and they really appreciate it because I've been knowing these kids since they were like 6, 7 years old. Now These are grown men, 21, 22, going into their adult years, and just hopefully it's just some of the little nuggets that I've sprinkled into their lives growing up, just being respectful, staying humble, never get too high, never get too low, live in the moment, enjoy it, but just know, tomorrow it could be a totally different story. And, humble pie is something that a lot of these athletes, it don't taste good. And, and playing in Philadelphia, there's a lot of humble pie out there.
Served every day.
Yeah. So, Camp 29 is something that I've been able to build, and now have a program in Philadelphia that we just launched a month ago called Our Lift, which we empower young men that's being bullied and harassed. So we've launched that program. I'm excited about that. We'll be able to take these kids on retreats, take them to different hiking adventures, and just helping those young men out because, social media, man, is cruel.
Rough.
And, a lot of these kids are being bullied on social media, and you see that the suicide rate is going, the age limit is going down.
It's going down.
It's no longer the elderly or the older people that's
teenagers.
Sick. Yeah, now it's teenagers. Kids 9, 10 years old that's being bullied, going to school with guns. What are we teaching our kids at home that they have to pick on the kid that may not have the same dreams or aspiration of you, or may not even look like you? Right. Obviously, we call it like it is. Race is a big deal that we're dealing with in this country, and we're just coming off of a whole bunch of stuff. The last couple of years, and now we're just steady trying to build that back up. So whatever I can do, it doesn't matter your skin color. I've played with guys that didn't look like me, and if it wasn't for those guys, I wouldn't have been able to be successful. So, people say they don't see color. You see color.
You see color.
And so whatever I can do to bridge that gap. I know I can't change the world overnight, but I just want to be remembered as a guy that gave everything he had. Made his mom proud, brothers and sisters and family proud to have this platform.
Yeah, and it shows the enthusiasm you have for things outside of football. Mm-hmm. It just exudes, it just personifies playing the game the right way, teaching these kids the right way, and I honor that. That's fabulous. So my favorite part of the Mark McMillian story, because I like to eat.
We all like to eat now. We all like to eat.
I like to eat, man. I gave up the cigarettes and the booze, but the food, the plate is full. Let's talk about Grilling McMillian and what that is, how people can get more involved in that. Let's get to the food part of Mark McMillian's story.
Yeah, it kicked off probably during the pandemic, because restaurants were closed down. Family members just have to be at home. If you didn't know how to cook, you're ordering DoorDash and they're charging you up the yin yang for delivery. So I partnered up with a meat company, partnered up with a grill company, and things just kind of took off. I was like, well, let me just get out here in the backyard and just start throwing things around, and it just kind of took off from there. And now Grilling McMillian is becoming a household brand. My seasons will be coming out hopefully within the next month, as long as my barbecue sauce. So it's going to be a special tribute to my grandparents. My mom doesn't know it yet, but when she sees this interview, she's going to know it. But it's going to be something real special and personal for my grandma and granddad that I'm going to honor them in a way that that's going to live for hopefully a long time.
Family legacy.
Family legacy, and that's something that as an African American man, that I'm really proud about that.
Yeah.
And be able to pass that down to my son, his kids, and that's something they can be like, hey, that's my dad, or that's our brand, that's our legacy.
Might even open up a shop in Kansas City one day.
Hey, you never know, KC. We can come out there now too.
Never know.
So it's great, man, and I'm able to do charity events, grilling events. I do Zoom events now. One of my partners called Fit Vine Wine. So I use their wine in my cooking, and I do that on Instagram Live. partnered up with a company called Raise Your Spirits, which is a bourbon company. And, they do the bourbon part, explain the notes and all that, and I grill the steak. So we go from 5 people on the call to up to 20 to 25 people on the call. So I have a couple of coming up. Actually, I got 2 Zoom Grabet McMillian experiences coming up this month. So I'm excited, man, just to be able to get in the backyard. And nothing better to bring family and friends together than food. And, it shows in your cooking. Yeah. And, I take time. A lot of time in my preparation for cooking. 'Cause I know, I don't want nobody to be like, man, that was some terrible potato salad, or that barbecue was like rubber, So especially coming from Kansas City, because people think Kansas City, they talk about barbecue, and the Philadelphia Eagles did a really good gesture last week. They put me in the game day program, and they featured Grabet McMillian along with Kansas City. So that was pretty good that they linked the 2 franchises together through barbecue.
Not football.
Yeah, through barbecue.
That family knit unit that you have. You played in 2 of the most family-centered football experiences possible with Kansas City and Philadelphia. So you were at the game Sunday. We got to talk a little football before we head out of here, okay? We've got two different teams. You got the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. Give me your take on both of them, where you think they're going, what you think they need to do for the 2021 season.
The Eagles are young, obviously in the quarterback position. This is Jalen's first year. They had some key injuries early on in the offensive line. It seemed like every year they're losing big-time players, in that position. And that's a position you can't lose guys in when you're trying to teach a young quarterback to be successful. I don't think they do a good job of using Miles at the running back position. I know in Philadelphia last week at the game, you got 60-something thousand people, and 60-something thousand people are screaming, run the ball. And they end up running the ball, and they end up scoring, and the crowd just went nuts. And, for a coach,
he's young.
He's young. But that's the wrong place to be, a young guy, and not run the ball and not, help your offense out.
Help your quarterback.
You can't ask for Jalen to drop back 50 times a game and be successful as a rookie quarterback.
You're not going to win.
And, Kansas City, on the other hand, obviously their offense got back on track. Every time they touch the ball, Patrick Mahomes, you're seeing it live. Some of the throws he's making, and I'm saying to myself, there's no way I probably could have guarded. Tyreek Evans, Tyreek Hill is unbelievable.
He is the biggest weapon in the NFL, and I will never back off that.
Yeah, and, a lot of people's like, what would you have done against him? I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. And you got Patrick Mahomes making throws that only the receivers can get to. Yeah. And, with the speed that this young man has, I don't know what was going on the first couple of weeks, but they made a conscious effort this week to feature Hill and get him the ball. They had great matchups. Andy Reid, congratulations, first head coach to win 100 games in both franchises. And I know he wanted to come back to Philadelphia.
He wanted it.
And win. Yeah. And of course. He called a masterful game plan.
Perfect.
He got matchups on linebackers with Hill. I was like, how do we end up in a position where we have our linebacker guarding the fastest dude in the National Football League? So coaching, we got out coached. We got outplayed. It was good to see Kansas City get back on the roll because – they got Buffalo coming up, and Buffalo put up a donut the other day. They put up a lot of points. So, the Chiefs have to shore up their secondary as well.
They need you. They need you.
I know Richard Sherman, signed with Tampa Bay.
Why did they not call Richard Sherman?
I thought that would have been a good pickup. I'm sure. Probably some of the stuff that happened in the offseason.
And I get that.
And they're probably remembering what happened with Marcus Peters.
And I get that.
And,
I don't want a repeat of that. Yeah.
I'm thinking, first of all, send somebody to Marcus, I know you're gonna wild out a little bit, but, the man makes plays. And then he goes to the Ravens and goes to the Pro Bowl and continue to make plays. So
it's about the coach. Coach's job is to take care of that stuff, but you bring the player in who can ball.
And you see,
are you trying to win?
Yeah, you're trying to win. And the Ravens locker room is centered around that. You don't see him doing all that crazy stuff. He's still going to talk trash. That's just his game. But he's not doing anything he's not doing anything crazy off the field. Richard Sherman is a great guy to have in the locker room. He's one of the smartest players to play the game.
Great teacher.
He's long. You can do a lot of things with him. The Honey Badgers is asked to do so much.
Too much
in that backfield.
Too much. Yeah. He's one guy.
Yeah. So we're I know the defense relies on we're going to score 30-something points a game, but that bit them in the tail. Going against the Chargers, you're not going to just throw the ball all over the yard against Buffalo. The Raiders are improved. The Broncos are improved. The Chargers are improved. So the
whole
defense,
AFC West.
The defenses in the AFC West are legit, and it's going to take a team effort. I don't know how they're going to do it. Obviously, when you got Patrick Mahomes, you're always going to be in the ball game. But when you come down to those tight ball games, you're going to need a stop.
I'll stop somebody.
And as young as the Eagles were, Jalen still threw for
they scored 30 points.
Yeah. So he threw for almost 400 yards. Yeah. So they won the game, but as a defensive player, I'm like, we won the game, but I'm a little upset that we gave up that much yards in the air, because in this division, everybody's throwing the ball. So
everybody's throwing the ball.
So they got to shore that up, and maybe they can find somebody on the waiver wire. Maybe they can wake James Hasty up or Daryl Carter. Maybe we can get him on the phone.
I'm about to go in there and pull out a number 29 jersey for you. They look good, but the defense is the Achilles heel for sure. Man, it's been hard to watch, but I think they'll get it together. Just as long as it's not the Raiders.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. We are absolutely elated to have you be the first person we get to interview here in the inaugural season. The very first person.
Come on now.
In the whole inaugural season of World of Matchups. We thank you for your conviction. We thank you for doing things the right way. I personally thank you for your time in Kansas City and what you did there and what you're doing now to raise these kids up, doing things the right way. And, you're an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And you give people like myself and Spencer the Wiz hope, because I read an article where you said something like being an entrepreneur is like being a cornerback. Yeah. You're out there on an island by yourself, and no one's coming to save you.
Right.
and no one's coming to save World of Matchups.
Right.
Anything that happens here is going to be because we go out there and make it happen.
Right.
And through the networking and help of some other friends, we were able to get you here, and we're so grateful for that. So we want to take the time to thank you, to honor you. And ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Dexter Reid and Mark McMillian. This is the first interview we're having here, and we are truly blessed to have him. Now, it doesn't end here, because we're coming back on Friday, as we do every single Friday, with our preview show, which happens every single week, breaking down every single matchup in the NFL. So lock arms with us and look for that. Tell the people where they can find you on social media, Mark.
My Twitter is Mark McMillian29. Instagram, I'm very active on that as well. It's McMillian29. You can check out my website. It's GrillaMcMillian.com. Stay tuned for those seasons and barbecue sauce coming soon. If you want to partner up with me, and if I can help out your brand, shoot me an email, mightymc29@yahoo. So I'm just trying to raise everybody up, man. I want to thank you guys for having me on, and much success. Anything I can do to help you guys out. Like you said, being on that island, a lot of people look at me and say, well, he played football. Why should we help him out? So it's starting all over. I've been told no. We don't want your services, and for the brands and partners that I have being able to partner up with, man, I'm truly honored that those people believe in my brand and believe in what I'm doing off the football field.
Yeah, and we're here to support you as well. If there's anything that we can ever do for you here at World of Matchups, we're a phone call away, we're an email away, and that door is always open to you.
I know you said you work at the restaurant with them meatballs now.
Come on, man. Come on, I'm going to shamelessly plug the restaurant I work at, Carmine's here in Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Forum Shops. Yo, you come see me, and I got you.
Y'all heard it right here. He said, come see him. I'm going to go get the meatballs now.
I got you. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching the most progressive and comprehensive television show to hit the airwaves for the National Football League this season. On behalf of myself, Mark McMillian, Spencer the Wiz, you're watching World of Matchups. We'll see you Friday.